Welcome to the Romanian River channel. In my first impressions of Ceres, Tactical Space Combat, a space sim type game with both Jupiter the Nexus Incident and Homeworld 1 type gameplay, and quite a bit of the flaws from both, to be honest, made by Jotunn Games, a Icelandic developer with 3 or 4 people in the whole development circle, that was published by Iceberg Entertainment about 3 to 4 months ago. I believe it was in October last year. Yes, I'm always fashionably late. Now, before we get cracking into the game, the standard disclaimers. A review copy was provided for this game, and as such there is a degree of bias in that direction, of course. Another disclaimer is the fact that this game is really ambitious. That may sound weird for a disclaimer, but when it's only 3 people, and the closest comparison you can make in recent history is to Rebel Galaxy, which had 2 people, you get the idea why ambition is both this game's greatest strong suit and its greatest flaw, to be honest. But before we get going, if you look in the main menu, you see a button to go to the game's webpage, quit button, credits, about, not much to say, and you start to go like, yeah, but where's the button for the options? Well, the options are hidden in the game control screen, which is quite odd, but I've seen weirder. Not by much, but I've seen it. Oh, quality, why are you fastest? Let's go with beautiful. Reinstall the game after the whole debacle with the last computer. Anyway, pretty much simple options, not much info, much in the way of detailed options, which is kind of a bad point for the game, but the game itself is really light on resources. I mean, my R9 290 is sitting at 58 degrees Celsius right about now, which, if you know AMD cards, is pretty freaking cool. Yes, safe settings. Now you also have a tutorial option, but the main mission and the first mission in the campaign has the same effect. It teaches you the basics. But to be honest, if you're not familiar at all with this genre of games, you've never even played Nexus or any type of fleet command type game, you'd better off going with the tutorial at first. Just a word of warning, because the control scheme, in a sense, how can I put this, expects you to know certain things from other games. I mean, this is one of the few space games where I went, okay, what button is it to move? Maybe it's the one from Homeworld 1, M. Oh, look at that, it was actually M. So yeah, do the tutorial if so required. But we're more ballsy, so we're gonna go directly in the main menu of the new game option. And then the storyline itself is quite standard. The Earth is gone, humanity is fucked, aliens are running about, and they're not the friendly kinds of aliens. AIs are also running about. What destroyed the Earth? Well, we built some sort of standing hyperspace gate, or was it a wormhole gate in this case? Wormhole gate. And apparently something went bad, and yeah, now you're in a world where humans, monsters, and machine gods fight for survival. Quite Warhammerian. Is that even a freaking word? Warhammer-esque, better way of putting it, in terms of general overtone. Now, you generally select your class, which is basically warrior, hunter, and cleric type. I've actually used the Spartacus class ship. It's an extremely fast ship with, I believe, 4 turret slots. This one, the hunter, which is the explorer, gets a ship with 2 mass drivers and 2 lasers. The cleric, being the cleric, gets still 4 guns, but it's 2 medium and 2 small. These guys get 4 mediums of 2 of each type. And this thing, I believe, could carry 5, I think. We'll have to check when we get in. Now, we're gonna go with this girl because girls. Weapon mounts. Volhards, which are your small beams. Small beams are your basic point defense, especially important versus fighter craft, which are in this game, of course. What space game won't have one type of fighter craft or another? And you have your missile hardpoint, which is quite useful, but like you'd expect, it is a weapon with munitions. So you have to buy the munitions from a station, or if push comes to shove, either, if I'm not mistaken, manufacturing them in space after a certain point in the story progression, which you get the option to actually manufacture some basic stuff like slugs, missiles, and so on, or loot it from your dead enemies. Now this girl has 4 drone control, well, the capacity to fire 4 drones, drones being your fighter craft, basically. They are utility drones, which are used to repair allied ships or neutral ships and to loot the field of battle. The Mason repair system repairs your armor and your internals. Of course, if this gets damaged, you can't repair jack shit, but yeah, part 2. Nuclear power plant, self-explanatory. Run out of power, which you can if you use a heavy on the laser loadout ships. You'd want a backup power plant. And certain lasers are actually quite long range, so it could be an option for a glass cannon type ship, which depends on other ships to repair itself. You having the option to field a fleet of ships makes that a possibility. Chemical engines are your box standard chemical, nuclear, and I believe it was fusion. I don't think there are antimatter, at least that I've seen, which boosts up your speed. Certain ships like the Spartacus can actually mount 2 engine modules. I think actually you can mount 2 on most ships if you want to, but more often than not you don't have the internal space for them. But it's always a possibility. Now, let's see.
Attacking target, Commander.
Engines online.
I'm awake. Engines online. That's a kill, Commander. All weapons on target. What?
Okay, this one. When you start off the game, you start off in the movement screen, so to say. This is the solar system. I went 20 minutes into the game and I have no clue. 20 hours into the game. Derp. And I was still in this area. I didn't even get the option to go to Jupiter, Saturn, Pleiades of Asphodel or Asphalt, because these are story linked. You start unlocking stuff with storyline progression. Speaking of storyline progression, let us head to the required area. Now, set to Chaos Cloud, por favor. Quite a nice little feature to have the map actually moving about, but if you're not used to space games, it can get a wee bit confusing. this map being fully three-dimensional and all.
You are now entering Terran Alliance control space. Welcome to the Chaos Cloud.
As you can see, the
Commander.
oh god.
Hey, newbie.
Yeah, your
Yes,
Captain
Commander?
Pissant. This guy's quite annoying, to be honest, and quite cocksure.
On the move, Commander.
Still was hoping to see him in the story later on, but at least as far as I went, I did not see him again. I want to see him again, basically going like,
Stop poking me!
oh, we're gonna regret choosing that voice pack,
Commander.
won't we?
Engines burning.
That's not the only thing that's burning my freaking ears. Now, as can be seen, the graphics themselves are not too impressive, to be honest. They'll do the job. They're not Rebel Galaxy level, Starpoint Gemini level, Starpoint Gemini 2 level, or stuff like that, but considering how this game started off, which, if I'm to believe the story I've been hearing, started off as a, hey dude, let's make a proof of concept in Unity. Dude, this gameplay is pretty awesome, let's show it to our friends. Oh my god, this play is pretty awesome. Complete it. Make a game out of this. Sell it. With that story in mind, it's quite an impressive pedigree, to be honest. But at least it's not, for those who are aware of the game, Dwarf Fortress levels of graphic impressiveness. Let's get a third ship going, because why the hell not? And I believe
Course laid in, Commander.
this chick counts as a permanent ship captain, not a mercenary. What's the difference? Well, let me just get in the station and show you guys. Go in the crew tab, you can select to hire captains with ships. These guys stay on the map, you buy them in, well, hire them in. You don't buy them, per se. The future is bleak, but not slavery bleak yet. So they stay on the map, you bought them on. Gotta go remember to pick me cotton too. The captains you hire and stay with you. That's the explanation for the much higher price, though these guys have no ships. The ships you have to provide yourself. I'll show you how to do that. Well, how to get the ship, fret the ship, and how you could select a captain to fit into the ship later on a bit. The captains themselves are important because there's an RPG element of progression. So the better the captain, depending on what skills you have, train them in, the perks you have given him, will boost the ship up in performance. You can have a well, this is just an absurd example, but if you get a captain with 4 or 5 levels into the armor perk, you could get a ship that tanks how can I put this? As good as 3 ships with only 1 armor module, if that ship has 2 armor module selection ability. Those are mostly assault ships that get that option, and to be honest, they are the best ships if you're playing the game for the first time. If you want a challenge, you go with the ones that have next to no armor, i.e. 1 module. The ship crews are basically where you select to train your ship crews. This also improves the performance of the ship itself. Another thing which improves the performance are the bridge and the AI, which are modules you can fit into the ship. Both are fixed, unlike this, which you can basically train up to increase your proficiency. Oh, there's this. I'm pretty sure this girl will also stay with us, so we get her to a good level. Now, fitting. Structure, you can put armor. This one, for example, has only one armor module, so it's not the most durable of ships, but it is quite a good ship for this mission, because this mission is basically an introduction. The tutorial got you used to to playing the game. This gets you used to getting kicked to shit by the game, especially if you rush ahead too much. It's kind of a game where you don't necessarily have the possibility to complete every mission on the map first go, but if you run around, do what missions you can in every area, and then come back, you might actually be able to do it, or you could upgrade your ship and your crew and your captain, and that could also improve your odds of surviving an extra shot to the face from a mass driver. Depends. The AI and bridges I mentioned. Basic modifiers. This modifies how much crew you need to still have alive after sustaining boarding actions, which is quite an important thing. It increases to a degree damage resistance and other stuff as well. Now, the AIs themselves are more modular. They have different perks. You can customize your ship a bit more via this. You can have a ship that's better at hacking, a ship that's better at running up to the enemy and basically going, haha, bye, and so on and so forth. The power is quite critical, because if you run out of power, your ship turns off for a while. And if your ship turns off for a while and it's surrounded by enemies, I didn't say what will happen to your behind while you're waiting for the reactor to reboot. Oh yeah, and the bridge also can affect the reactor reactivation period. So if you're the kind of derp like yours truly, who can't forget to manage his power levels, that's also an option. This is a good way to check if you can actually manage to fire everything and keep everything online with the available energy. Propulsion, get somewhere fast. Not much to say there. Externals, gun mounts. You can have your smalls, mediums, larges, and I believe there are also huge mounts, but I've not run into them quite yet. And the basic gist of it is anti-fighter, well, anti-everything technically, anti-everything minus fighters somewhat, and large is anti-everything except frigates and fighters, and huges would be quite a pain in the ass to shoot anything but a station and a cruiser or above, because larges can have issues tracking quite small fast frigates, which is one of the delightful details you don't notice in the game up until you get, like, let's say 4 or 5 hours into it, when you start going like, maybe if I move, those mass drivers won't butcher me senselessly. Internals, you have a set number of slots for a ship, and you basically need obligatory an engine, a reactor, and that's about it. Everything else you can choose and fit in however way you see fit. This ship has 2 drone bays, a cargo hold, a repair system. The repair system is, I believe I mentioned earlier. If not, I'll probably fix this with a captation. Repairs the ship unless it's damaged or destroyed itself, i.e. rendered inoperable. There are other things you can also fit within the ship, like structure enhancements, which improve your survivability once your armor gets depleted. You can fit additional reactors to boost your capacity to actually shoot your guns without running dry. You can also fit additional engines to basically turn yourself into a really fast glass cannon. Yes, you can almost pull off a, let's say, Leopard 2 type ship fit, and so on and so forth. Drones, you select what type of drones you want to have on your ship. Not much surprise there. The first number shows you how much you have on your ship in your cargo hold, and the other number shows you how much you have within the stockpile. The stockpile is universal, basically. Doesn't matter where you are, you still have access to your stuff. Why don't you have the drones? We can actually use boarding actions, I think. We'll see if we can pull it off later. Yeah, what else is there? The refit's pretty much done. The crew's done. Ship market, buy ships, frigates, and cruisers. This is quite of an annoying type of cruiser, but if I'm not mistaken, yeah, weak armor. Basically, not the Odysseus. This is a decent enough ship. This is also quite a decent ship. This is the ship we're in. Yeah. No assault ships, by what I can see. At least, by what I remember. The assault ship I had was, if I'm not mistaken, a worthless class assault ship. Sounds bad. Could take a full frontal burst from a battle cruiser and go like, did not hurt that much, dude. Mission market, get missions. These are secondary missions that can be quite rewarding. Now let's see. This is the mineral market, and well, market in general. Minerals you use to repair your ship, and you can also, I believe, with manufacturing capabilities later on in the game, which you unlock via the storyline. Yeah, quite a bit of stuff linked to storyline. Not much of a sandbox game, but still quite an enjoyable romp. The others can be used for various stuff. I believe rare metals are also, and radioactives are used in crafting. Luxuries and food, and I believe biotech are strictly commercial, so you're basically doing trading. And yeah, that's basically it. Water's quite valuable though, to be honest. If you can find water in the game, like a big asteroid that's not claimed, start hauling ass and hauling it. And the station commander is just to talk to the station owner. Now, quick fleet idea. These are your ships, including the ones you may not have in the next map, like this guy, for example, bloody bastard. And captains, this is where you can assign them. Currently you can only assign that girl because so she's not gonna be with us on the other map, damn it. She can she's basically a permanent commander you'll always have access to. These two you cannot change ships because they are not permanent, they are mercenaries. They'll stick with you only in this area. Inventory, you see what you picked up and what you have in terms of bullets, missiles. We need missiles. And modules. Construction, as I said, what you can build, but you're not able to build early in the game. It's something you unlock. Informations are something I never dicked around with, but if I were to guess, this would be one of the better ones. Now,
What?
let's hope I don't chew my face off while she yells at me.
Speed is king.
Speed mine hell. and get to show you guys some of the good action, or at least some action, because this game is not that easy to
Yes.
Yes, Commander?
work with at times. It's one of those games where, much like Dwarf Fortress, if you get it, you can fall freaking in love with it. If you don't, you're like, well, I can see somebody watching or watching somebody else play this, but I can't freaking play this. How the hell do you even interpret ASCII code? In this game, it's more a case of dealing with the fact it's not that much of a beautiful game overall. I've seen worse, but it's certainly not 2015 great, though considering its genesis, that's pretty explainable. And the fact that the bugs can be quite blood-curdlingly annoying at times. Yeah, it's kind of a niche product. Something I'm not gonna let that guy talk because that's storyline stuff, and if you guys wanna get the game and experience it, I want no spoilers as much as possible. Yes, this game can be paused. That's one of the beauties of it.
Getting blasted.
Let's try and get close.
Course laid in, Commander.
Okay, we are close enough, I think. Drones, board. Let's hope they...
Hostiles are attacking. Scallywag. Course laid in, Commander. Taking damage. Course laid in, Commander.
Yes, Commander?
Aye, aye, move order received.
Let's see. Modules. Internal chemical.
Target acquired.
Yeah, still trying to get a hold of this game, to be honest, in terms of mechanics.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Aye, aye, move order received. Yeah, fixing stuff. Yeah.
Nothing but debris left.
Yes.
Well,
Stitching the ship together. Gathering remains. Gathering loot.
the basic capacity to level up is basically upgrade your skills, which with this girl, she definitely needs better beam capabilities. And let's go with cargo organizer, because better cargo is better cargo in terms of space. And laser illuminator, because extra damage is extra damage. You two we do not really care about.
Our cargo bay is full, Commander.
Scallywag.
Now, what else haven't I shown? No. So basically the game has a pause option in terms of combat, which is quite an important thing to have when you're not usually well positioned to command a battle. So that adds in an extra degree of ease to the whole experience.
What?
And the camera controls are quite decently...
Commander. What?
quite decently balanced, to be honest. The problems with the game are quite decently outweighed by the positives. The roughness of the graphics, the aforementioned frustrating bugs, they do crop up but are not by any means a constant fixture, and weird difficulty ramping, so to say. Each area basically has its own difficulty ratings, but certain missions will kick your kick your shit in harder than Mr. T on crack, to be honest. It's the type of game I really cannot recommend to anyone in the mainstream, to be honest, because this is the type of game that will frustrate people sufficiently to make them quit it and regret the purchase or refund it via Steam. But for people who know the games I mentioned in terms of inspiration, which was Nexus, the Jotunn Incident, and Homeworld, specifically Homeworld 1, don't really get a Homeworld 2-esque vibe from this game. This game can be quite a nostalgia trip, to be honest. I mean, when I started playing it, for the first 5 or 6 hours, I couldn't pretty much stop. It was like, I'll play an hour. 5 a.m. Fuck me, I was supposed to sleep. The problem is, after that point, certain things started cropping up, like glitches and stuff like that. Yeah, the game gets patched very regularly, and the number of glitches or bugs decreases, but that's still a warning, because the developer themselves are a small group. They are very devout though, but they are still a small group, so purchasing is basically, if you like the genre, if you want to see more games of the genre, and if you want to support people who were basically like, yeah, why the fuck not, let's go crazy, and actually manage to deliver a functional and entertaining product, yeah, quite good. The lack of a multiplayer kind of dampens the level of replayability in a certain sense. Would have been fun to actually have 2 derps running around with fleets trying to do more difficult missions. There's a area available after this mission, because this mission unlocks quite a few areas, where you can encounter a battleship, which is, how should I put this, about as big as that station, possibly even bigger, that you'd basically be like, if I had a friend in here with me, we could have been like, dude, let's take that on, let's smurf it, or, well, not smurf it, let's zerg it, to be honest. Would have been really freaking amazing, but in a sense, it's good the developers didn't go too crazy with the ideas. Give them space to polish off what they have in a sufficiently short amount of time, and also space to grow in the future. Because to be honest, if this is their first showing, I really want to see what they can do with a bigger budget, more people working with them, helping them, and basically them having the option to go, yeah, let's do that again, but better, because this time we actually have the resources to do it right. Because yeah, pretty good game if you have the tolerance for it, for its flaws, I mean. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen, and until next time, bafta.